She's the editor and host of the Iran podcast. Negar, thank you for joining us. What were the main bones of contention before Iran submitted its new proposals to Washington?
Thank you for having me. Well, there were some areas of disagreement when the negotiations first started with the new administration in Tehran, including the foreign terrorist designation of the Iranian Revolutionary Guards, the IAEA UN watchdog probe into an old Iranian file. And it seems like Iran has shown some flexibility or softened its position on some of those, and the Europeans have put forth creative alternatives to how the two sides can come together. So right now, it seems like the Revolutionary Guards designation is not going to be removed by the United States, but as an alternative, some entities under the umbrella of the Guard will be removed from the list of sanctions. And then the probe by the IAEA will continue, but the timing of that and how that relates to the implementation of the deal is still something that seems to be under discussion. Just today, the U.S. sent its response to Iran's response to the EU proposal, and the Iranian side have acknowledged receiving the response, and they've actually announced, the foreign ministry said that they have already started reviewing it. And I'm hearing from sources in Tehran that there may be a meeting of the Iranian National Security Council tomorrow to discuss this U.S. response, and then they're saying they will send their comments once they review the U.S. response back to the European Union.
Okay, so things do appear to be moving quite quickly at this stage. If it's true that Tehran is softening its position on certain issues, how does one explain that, considering that Iran has a more hardline president now in Ebrahim Raisi than it did previously under Hassan Rouhani's leadership?
That's a great question. So it seems like it is a hardline administration, but I like to call them hardliners 2.0. So the past years of the hardliners attacking the moderates for wanting to negotiate with the U.S. and essentially making an agreement with the United States seem to be over. And now that they're in power, yes, they started the negotiations. They came into the talks with maximalist demand, but then they actually realized the reality of realpolitik and what is achievable and what is wishable. So I think they've softened their position, showing that the calculation in Tehran beyond their factional politics is that this deal is still within their interest. It's something that they would like to continue if it's given that they're also receiving economic benefits, which is in the form of sanctions relief from the United States. But I think the overall calculation that goes beyond just the hardliners within the Iranian political structure is that having this nuclear deal is better than just letting it go. And that's why Tehran, frankly, hasn't even left the deal to this day. Yes, they've reduced compliance, but they've still remained in the deal, and they seem interested in making an agreement with the other side. And I think there's also very serious interest on the U.S. side as well.
Negar, really appreciate it. Thank you so much indeed. Negar Mortazavi speaking to us from Washington.